A man looks at his watch. Both hands point to 12. At the same time, another man regains consciousness in a bathroom. He doesn't know who he is, where he is, or how he got there. However, he finds clothes and a suitcase with belongings. After dressing, he steps outside and accidentally breaks an aquarium. Taking the goldfish, he releases it into the bathtub. The man finds keys to the suitcase. Opening it, he finds a postcard with the words Shell Beach, which triggers some memories. Suddenly, the phone rings, and the man with the watch, seen at the beginning, tells him that his memory was erased and he was experimented on. He needs to run immediately as they are coming for him. At this moment, the man notices a dead woman's body in the hotel room, covered in blood drawings. Horrified, he runs out of the room and down the stairs as three men in black step out of the elevator and head toward his room. As our hero reaches the hotel lobby, he is surprised to see everyone calmly sleeping, and the clock shows exactly 12. Soon, they wake up. The porter calls our main character, John Murdoch, informing him that he left his wallet in a machine and needs to retrieve it, and mentions that John has been living in the hotel for 3 weeks. On the waterfront, John throws away his suitcase while the porter heads to his hotel room and encounters the men in black. They show him an unusual syringe and ask questions about John, then put him to sleep with a single motion. Meanwhile, Emma, John's wife, sings on a club stage. After her performance, she receives a letter inviting her to meet Dr. Schreiber. The doctor informs her that he is a psychiatrist treating her husband for a mental disorder caused by her infidelity. Emma claims she hasn't seen her husband for 3 weeks. The doctor asks her to be kinder to her husband, as he suffered a severe shock and might experience hallucinations and exhibit violence. Emma should call him if she encounters John. At the same time, Police Inspector Frank Bumstead's musical practice on the accordion is interrupted by a phone call. In the next scene, Frank arrives at the hotel where John lived, investigating the murder of a call girl. This is the 6th murder recently, but this time they have a suspect's name, John Murdoch. The inspector heads to John's room, listening to news from a colleague about Detective Walensky, who claims that life around them is fake and everyone has been replaced. They think he's gone mad. At this moment, John wanders the city and suddenly remembers the wallet he needs to retrieve from the machine and heads to a local diner. Outside, a call girl is smoking. The wallet is behind a glass door, but he doesn't remember how to open it. At this moment, 2 policemen enter the diner, and John, straining, opens the door with his mind and retrieves the wallet. A policeman stops him, but the call girl steps in, advising the police to find the killer and takes John away. Frank continues examining John's hotel room and notices the saved goldfish, wondering if a cold-blooded killer could care about saving a fish. At this moment, Detective Walensky bursts into the room, screaming that they are being watched. Other policemen take him away. Frank and his assistant decide to visit Walensky's office to understand why their colleague is acting this way. They find a collection of evidence, but have no idea what it means. Emma arrives at the police station to file a missing person report for her husband. Hearing the name John Murdoch, Frank takes her to his office and informs her that John is suspected of the murders, but Emma doesn't believe it. Meanwhile, John examines the photo of his wife and documents found in his wallet. Seeing a girl peeking from a neighboring room, he leaves. On the street, he again looks at the Shell Beach postcard and finds himself under a large poster advertising the place, strengthening his desire to understand what is happening. Unexpectedly, he finds newspaper clippings about the murders in his pocket. Reading them, he falls into despair, realizing he is accused of a series of brutal murders he doesn't remember. At this moment, a man in black appears and orders John to sleep, but John doesn't react. The man draws a knife to attack John, but suddenly the wooden floor collapses beneath him, and he falls. 2 more men in black approach John, also drawing knives, but John uses his gaze to break the floor beneath them, causing them to fall as well. Another man, observing the scene, is surprised, saying, "He can tune reality," marveling at John's abilities. John accidentally slips and falls, but manages to grab onto some ropes and then destroys the last man in black. Approaching the body of one of the fallen men, John discovers a strange creature emerging from the man's head, which is clearly not a brain, and then leaves. The scene shifts to a dark hall filled with similar creatures. They panic, realizing John is dangerous and must be killed, but their leader insists on capturing John alive to learn about his abilities. Meanwhile, Emma finds John in his apartment. John found his wallet containing information about his house, but doesn't recognize it and knows nothing about Dr. Schreiber or Emma's past infidelity. Emma tells John that the police are already searching for him, and at that moment, Inspector Frank bursts into John's apartment. John tries to explain everything to him, but seeing Frank's distrust, he flees, losing Dr. Schreiber's business card. John gets into a taxi and asks to be taken to Shell Beach. The driver mentions spending his honeymoon there, but doesn't remember how to get there. Meanwhile, John tracks Dr. Schreiber, and Frank visits Walensky, who is drawing spirals on all surfaces in his room. Walensky tells Frank he's trying to remember anything from his past, but can't. Following Dr. Schreiber, John witnesses a door appear on a blank wall, which the doctor enters before the door disappears. In the underground lair, Dr. Schreiber works as the Men in Black sort through various human artifacts, diaries, photo albums, documents, belongings, etc. Dr. Schreiber receives a special jar of scents meant to awaken human memories. These scents can trigger past memories, helping the aliens understand what has changed in people's lives. The alien leader interrupts Dr. Schreiber's work, expressing displeasure that John doesn't sleep during the tuning like others. Midnight strikes, and the tuning begins, causing everyone in the city to fall unconscious, except John. He runs through the streets trying to wake someone, but it's futile. In a few minutes, John watches in amazement as the city's landscape changes. Buildings grow, change shape, and contents. A door appears in the wall again, and John follows a group carrying unconscious bodies, which they distribute to different places before Dr. Schreiber injects them with new memories, altering their personalities. John sees how the aliens transform ordinary workers into a wealthy family. John catches Dr. Schreiber alone and tries to extract a confession, but, in a rage, throws him several meters away. Dr. Schreiber reveals that John possesses the aliens' abilities to change reality with his will. He offers to teach John to control this power to reclaim their city and rid it of the aliens. While John and Schreiber talk, John notices a new door appearing in the wall and decides to flee. The tuning ends. The alien leader is informed that John almost disrupted their tuning, meaning he is much stronger than they thought. To catch John, one alien absorbs all his memories crafted by Schreiber. At this moment, John rereads the postcard and suddenly recalls the name Carl Harris. In his memories, he also recalls a YouTube channel, but can't remember the name. However, you, buddy, can subscribe to our channel so you don't lose track of us like John did. John finds Carl's address in the phone book. The newspaper vendor, who was recently the porter, advises taking the metro. Meanwhile, the Men in Black break into the call girl's house but don't get the information they need as she doesn't know where John is. During the metro ride, John is advised to transfer to the Express. Following the advice, John discovers the Express doesn't stop at the needed station. Walensky suddenly distracts John, claiming he is like John, then throws himself under the train. The Men in Black find Emma. One alien who absorbed John's memories speaks to her using John's words. At home, Emma finds the mutilated body of the call girl. Her hysteria is interrupted by Frank, who has been following her. John arrives at Carl's house, claiming he is his uncle and showing old slides of John as a child at Shell Beach in the sunlight. But Carl doesn't remember how to get there. John sees a large scar in the photos, supposedly from a fire that killed his parents, but he has no such scar, meaning it's someone else's story. Frank calls in police experts, and Emma finds the dead girl's daughter hiding under a table. Later, Emma sees a beautiful accordion in Frank's car. He says it's a gift from his late mother, but he doesn't remember how he got it. John tries to determine the time of day and why it's always dark. He finds his sketchbook, which, according to Carl, he always drew in, but the book is empty, raising more questions. Carl, who is actually an alien, calls Emma, and she and Frank rush to his address while John leaves. The clock strikes 12, and everyone but John falls unconscious. On the street, John sees the aliens and tries to escape. The surrounding buildings change, and John barely reaches the roof, confronting one of the aliens. Grabbing the alien, John learns they created the city from stolen human memories, trying to become human, but not understanding how. They alter people's memories every night to figure out what makes humans human. Everything was fine until John, who possesses the same power as the aliens, appeared. The alien then throws John away. He falls, but grabs the stair railing. As John hangs from the railing, The surrounding buildings start to move and change due to the tuning. John manages to jump into a nearby window. When John exits through a door, he almost falls. He hangs high above the street. At this moment, an alien bites John's hand, but a nearby pipe appears, and John jumps to it. The tuning ends, and the city comes alive again, but John is surrounded by several aliens. At this moment, Frank's car arrives, rescuing him and later taking him to jail, where John tries to convince Frank that he didn't kill the call girl. Later, Emma visits John in jail, again apologizing for her infidelity, but John insists it never happened. The woman admits she sometimes feels she doesn't know him at all, but she still loves him. John breaks the glass between them with his mind and kisses the woman. The aliens arrive at the jail and put everyone to sleep to abduct John, but he isn't in his cell. Frank has freed him, and they go to Dr. Schreiber. The doctor tells John the whole truth. They are victims of the aliens' experiment. Schreiber has prepared a special syringe, and if John injects it, he will know the whole truth. But Frank suggests heading to the ocean. They take a boat, and Schreiber explains. It became dark outside, and strangers came, abducted people, and brought them to this place. They experimented by changing people's memories, families, friends, and personalities, then observed the results. Will a person become a killer, for example, or is a person more than just memories? The aliens believe they will find the soul if they understand how human memory works, because they have only collective memory and consciousness. They aim to understand individual memory to save themselves from extinction, but John resisted, meaning he can fight the aliens' experiments. The aliens let Schreiber keep his scientific skills and don't erase his memory because they need his expertise, but some memories are erased, like where the people came from. Finally, they reach Shell Beach, but it's just a wall surrounding the city. John and Frank break through the wall, revealing outer space, and then the aliens find them. The inspector fights one alien, and they fall out of the opening, showing the city is on a flat platform flying through space. John prepares to fight the aliens, but sees Emma in their grasp and surrenders. He obeys the aliens' command and falls asleep. In the next scene, the sleeping John is surrounded by aliens who want to kill him, but their leader insists on merging John's mind with theirs, hoping this will help them become human. Dr. Schreiber, instead of injecting the collective memory, injects his own memories into John, giving him access to Schreiber's knowledge, including the aliens' weaknesses. With these memories, John can fight the aliens and free the people from their control. John wakes up, and the aliens flee from his gaze. The leader steps forward for a duel. Space itself distorts, walls collapse, aliens die, but neither the leader nor John can defeat each other. The battle moves outside, the city burns, and the two foes fly into the air, continuing the fight. The alien throws a dagger at John, almost hitting him, but John's mental command redirects the dagger, striking the leader. The apocalypse ends. Dr. Schreiber congratulates John on his victory. He now controls the alien's machine. However, Emma is no longer Emma, as her memory was altered, and the lab that could restore her memory is destroyed. John now has the power to create his own world, and he does. He adds water and turns the flying disc toward the sun. Emma wakes up in a ticket office, dresses, and boards a bus to Shell Beach. John finds the alien who absorbed his memory. The alien is dying and wants to know what it's like to be human. John tells him they were looking in the wrong place. The sun rises over the city. John opens the door and sees the ocean and Emma on the pier. But she says her name is Anna, as she has different memories. This was the movie Dark City. If you enjoyed this movie recap, don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you don't get lost in the YouTube algorithms. If you'd like me to recap another movie or series, let me know in the comments below this video.